Here we are. All praise be and glory to God for being able to jump on very briefly this morning, only because um, I certainly see the need to start a conversation about uh, things that really benefit not only humankind but individuals. Um, and one of the most powerful things that I feel individually that needs to be discussed more is the power of consequence. The power of consequence. Um, what do I mean by the power of consequence? Well, let's start off with the word. Consequence is a noun, right? Consequence is a noun. It's a result of an action, the end result of an action. In other words, you do something and something happens as a direct result. That's consequence. In a more perspective based example, um, it's accountability, it's responsibility. That's kind of what I want to touch on today. Many people lack the perspective of consequence, and we see the results, uh, the horrendous results in our everyday dealings with people. Um, Consequence is a result of action, right? And we know that the result of action is something that you have to deal with, point blank. Nobody can deny that. If you have to deal with consequences, that wouldn't that make that necessary to evaluate the things you do? A lot of people don't do that. That's not everybody, but there are people in our society nowadays that just don't have any concept of consequences, and they certainly don't want to be responsible for anything, right? Give you a perfect example for context. A lot of people drive. How many times have you been on a highway and you doing, I don't know, 70 miles an hour, right? Speed limit 70. Somebody will blow past you doing 100, right? And even if you're in the right lane, doing the speed limit, doing your thing, driving normally, somebody will almost run you off the road, trying to get you out of the way. And what they don't see is the car in front of you that is an unmarked police cruiser, right? When they notice that cruiser, they slow down. Those who don't notice get pulled over. But think of that scenario. They slow down. They're afraid of facing the consequences for their actions. They're speeding. They don't want the ticket, so they slow down. That's a hilarious example for me because what that tells me is that people tend to do what they want until it's possible they face the consequences for something. They do not want to be held accountable. So, one of the things that I practice in my own life is holding myself to strict accounting, meaning I'm always evaluating the things that I'm doing and what the after effect will be, right? Um, I find that it's easier to keep yourself centered uh, as a responsible human being if you do those things. Let's see who we got here. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're able to jump in. This is going to be a weekly thing. In addition to content, I've been saying that I was going to do this for a while, but obligations to work and other things have made it challenging, very challenging. But there's a ton of things that that need to be discussed, And I mean, you already get tons of content on this platform that just deal with the most ignorant things you can even think about already. So I let those people do their thing as far as that. Um, Sidebar. There's one thing I like everybody to keep in mind and remember, and I find that in every live, I'm going to bring up a name of somebody who we need to keep their name alive until there is an accounting for what happened to them, and until they can be properly interred and have their spirits rest easy. And the name that comes to mind for me is a beautiful young lady by the name of Relisha Rudd. Those from the DC metro area will remember her. She disappeared roughly 11 years ago from the then Washington, D.C. homeless shelter. DC had taken the old DC Medical Center, which had closed down for medical operations, and converted it into a shelter for the homeless. Relisha Rudd, who lived there with her mother and siblings, um, fell into the hands of a dude that was a janitor. Um, and if you really want to read and follow a tragic story of consequences, that's one of them. Because unfortunately, she disappeared with this individual who later killed himself, and she's never been found. So while people are partying, drinking, traveling, spending money, doing a ton of other things that impact them as individuals, please keep in mind that there are people, kids in particular, that have disappeared and have gone unnoticed, off the radar, really, while other topics, other stories have become more mainstream. Please, I invite you all to remember Relisha Rudd. And if you don't know her story, research her story, and from the story that you'll read, be impacted by it. And from the impact that you get, take a look around your own individual families at the children that you're around, that you see, that are familiar with you, that call your name, that are happy when they see you, they smile, that you spend time with as your families gather for the holidays and other things. And understand that those kids that you interact with are blessed, extremely blessed, because there's some kids out here that don't have the same level of blessings. Relisha Rudd is a story and a memory that sometimes wakes me up at night. And I want nothing more as an individual who didn't know her. I want nothing more than for her to be found, uh, or at least if she's no longer alive, for her remains to be found and for her to be properly interred. Um, it's been a long time, so I doubt that they will find her alive. And I hope I'm wrong. May God forgive me if I'm wrong. Um, but I will, on every live, bring up the name of a child, a black child in particular, um, and focus on them for a few minutes so that their memory doesn't die. And that from that story and from that memory, we can all be more reflective about the things that occur in our lives and the people that we know in our lives, and be more mindful, be more concerned, and be more protective of them. Um, but getting back to the power of consequence, how many of you hold yourself accountable? And if you don't, that's cool too. Not everybody's perfect, and not everybody has the same perspective um, when it comes to accountability. Um, but how many people look at the things that you do every day and you look at the consequences? So if you get up and start traveling and going to work, the consequence of that is you arrive at work safely, right? Um, you do your thing so that you can get your pay. That's a consequence of your actions. Uh, Consequences are inescapable. For as long as you live in this life, consequences are inescapable. And I find that to have this conversation about how consequences are impactful will help all of us, including myself, be more responsible. I'm great. What's going on, man? You gonna knock the head off my shoulders? I'd like to see you try. I'm a first degree black belt taekwondo. So I'd love to see you try. As a matter of fact, I invite you to try, man. Tell you what, you can DM me and we'll spar, and I'll change your opinion. I'm a 4-year military veteran, man. Believe me, you can get in line as far as issuing threats. I actually find it funny. And with your official leaks, okay, that's cool. The topic here is consequence. So you do something like official, what's his name? Official leaks is talking about knocking somebody's head off. His consequence will be I probably won't even have to exact retribution for his stupidity. He's a keyboard gangster. I've seen them before. That's all he is. Nothing more, nothing less. That's good. That's good. Also known as Precious Doe, was an American 3-year-old girl who was murdered in Kansas City. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm actually going to look up our story because I'm not familiar with it and familiarize myself with that. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. Um, we know that, I mean, from the time it looks like that young lady disappeared, it's been a while. And as much as I hate to admit this, I would hope that they're alive, but you know, we pray for their well being, we pray for their spirits, and we pray that they are at peace. Thank you, brother. Yeah, a troll, troll. That's all they are. People, the great thing about life is you have people that live life, you have people that are engaging, as we all are this morning, and then you have people that have no engagement. Um, they use social media as a self validation tool. They got to be validated by something to make themselves feel better. And that's sad. And I hope that that individual finds peace and finds a pathway to validation other than just trolling and saying stupid things. You know, be impactful, help feed somebody, help a kid learn something, right? Um, but people that are trolls are just, it's just something you got to deal with. You know, we're gonna deal with ignorant people. People gonna cut you off in traffic and say crazy things, and that's the way life is. Um, it's a mini home studio. Uh, it's two that sit back. I, I got out of the habit of doing these things behind the wheel because it's distracting. So let's see here. What's going on? What's going on, y'all? Glass art. Glass art. Hey, glass art. What is it that you do? I find that these names are very interesting. Glass art. Do you do some type of artistic creation with glass? Yaptologist. All right. So consequences are have tremendous bearing on how we live our lives. Um, a person that doesn't work, for example, is going to struggle. Um, I tell young people in my family that all the time. Uh, be purposeful with your intentions on what you're going to do with your life, right? And what that means is if you're a teenager and you start out with a job that a teenager would have as you work your way towards graduation from high school, and you either focus on college, focus on the military, whatever it is that you do it with the intention of consequence and do it with vision and purpose so that you can see your life 10 years in advance. Look, the bottom line is we're here on this platform having a discussion, but the reality is, how many of you, the 24 or so of us, as we get older, want to deal with the reality of that we struggle to find food? We struggle to live the basic stuff. It's crazy. And nobody thinks about that. The thought process is that everything is as it is right now, it'll be that way. The reality is in life, the age you are will increase. The people that you're aware of will die, as we all will, and that you'll experience a loss of support at some point, and you have to be prepared for that. Um, and you have to be purposeful in that. You have to think of the consequences of your actions today moving forward. You have to stay physically fit. Um, they're all things that are tangible, right? That help to build your future. So very important. Yeah. So let me see something. So I just wanted to jump on with you all and encourage you to just be purposeful with intention in all that you do, because the consequences will never go away. But consequence in itself will establish your reality. It will establish your reality. It'll give you firm footing from which to build on. Because if we look at the things that are happening now, I just saw an article and watched the story on two young ladies out in Vegas. I can paint a broad picture for you. They're walking a dude through the casino. You know what type of women they are. They go up to the hotel room to do what they do, and instead of robbing the dude, they decide to kill him. They both got 10 years, which I think is not enough for killing somebody, but just think of the consequence. So they actually sat back and said, you know what, we're gonna rob this dude and we'll kill him. So the little chump change they got couldn't even get a decent lawyer. So that's perspective for you. It's crazy. But that's the way it is. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Do you for real smoke K2? I know what K2 is, and the fact that you know what K2 is tells me, have you tried it? You smoke K2? Who even, yo, let me tell you something. K2, um, I was in corrections for a while, right? And K2 would have dudes passed out with their face in urinals. So picture that, a nasty urinal in the men's bathroom. A dude is face down in there blowing bubbles. That's what K2 will do. And guess what? His so-called friends were standing around and watching him laughing. They didn't even make an effort to grab the guy as I did, pull him out so he can breathe. And he didn't even believe it, man, when he finally did get over the effects of the K2. So that's not a good look, bro. The fact that you talk about that, wow. Okay, wow. Cause and effect. There we go. There we go. K2 glass art. Cause and effect. Um, he tried K2 out of boredom, and the effect was he ended up blowing bubbles in urine, which is crazy. I'll never forget that. Never forget that imagery, man. And that was a tough but impactful gig. You get the opportunity to change some people's lives. But anyway, I wanted y'all to just have a conversation about consequence. And I'd like the end result of this conversation is that everyone would be thoughtful of the things you do. I mean, it's basic stuff, but basic reminders that can help. I have an unrelated thing that I also want to bring up before I get up out of here. is those of you who are sports fans, how many people are sports fans and follow the Unrivaled League? Anybody follow Unrivaled? If you don't know what Unrivaled is, y'all need to check it out. If you're not into sports, that's cool. You can pass on it. But the Unrivaled League is pretty cool. Gives women an opportunity, professional uh, basketball players at least in the states, the opportunity to play ball, and they don't have to go overseas. It's pretty damn good games. Um, the Unrivaled League is pretty dope. There's a lot of dope things going on in women's sports, um, particularly in basketball, uh, sports in general, particularly in the college side. NIL has changed the game. It's allowed these young people to make money. Um, I encourage anybody, if you know anybody that's going to college, that's a part of a program, or if you follow somebody that's a part of these collegiate sports programs, buy a jersey, buy a hoodie. They get a piece of that sale, and that's a cool thing. Um, I follow the Rutgers program strongly. I think they got a good squad. Yeah, they got some challenges. They're in a tough conference, but I spend money and get jerseys, hoodies. Um, I buy them for other people. Uh, I definitely support sending kids to camps, particularly kids that don't have mentors or don't have a family structure that would afford them the benefit of being able to do things differently. Um, I do things like that, on my own, and I don't see the only reason I'm bringing it up is because we're discussing it in the scope of NIL. But you do what you can to try to change things. But NIL is a game changer. Let's see what you got. Um, but this NIL thing is awesome. There's a player that is in the WNBA that there's plenty of them that are super talented. Um, but Kennedy Carter, um, Texas A&M graduate from Texas, lives in LA, over in China now, playing for the Wuhan Cranes. Got to be arguably one of the most dangerous players in women's basketball on the professional level. Um, I oftentimes will compare her play to Allen Iverson. She has an Iverson like ability to get to create and get to the basket. And if you all are not aware of her, go check her out. You won't be disappointed. Um, but that to wrap up is what we discussed today was just consequences and the power of consequence, and realizing that if you're alive and you have the power of consequence, you're a morally sound person. You really are, because that tells me and should tell you that you are reflectful. You're reflective of everything you do, and you understand the impact of all your actions. And if you have the ability to do that, we collectively have the ability to change the narrative in this world. All right. So let's see what we got here. I believe in Jesus Christ now. That's cool. I'm trying to. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Let's see. Uh, I'm just kind of running through some of the comments here. I held my own on Kate too. I could smoke the hell out of it. I seen my friends drop off like flies. They're the retarded. Them turkeys. Wow, man. You know what? You got blessed and you are lucky. Here's the thing about, real quick, about introducing these substances into our bodies, right? A lot of people don't know what their medical predispositions are, right? So, what I mean by predispositions is, irregardless of your age, if everybody that's on right now went to their private primary care physician and said, all right, look, give me a full physical. I want the blood test. I want the whole nine. I'll go take a CAT scan to make sure, My lungs and everything are clear. And when you get all of those results from your tests back, they're going to go through a litany of results. You'll know if your blood platelet count is good. You'll know if you have a predisposition toward diabetes. You'll know if your cholesterol's high. You'll know if you have any things that you need to be concerned about in terms of cancer. There's a whole lot of things that go with that. You will know your predispositions. Here's the thing about K2 and those substances, and this goes for a lot of things, including alcohol. You don't wow, you don't know what your predispositions are. You don't know if you're gonna have a problem. So, here we go willy-nilly, and I've done the same thing, uh, not with substances, um, but just not knowing what's gonna impact me in an adverse way. Man, next thing you know, you're having a medical event. So I would say to you, man, if you can, them turkeys, man, just you seem like an intelligent brother, an intelligent person. Um, just be more mindful of the here and now, because just like that, man, the wrong decision, and I'm not even talking about random violence or violence of any kind, but your body can react in a way that you don't expect. And the next thing you know, man, somebody's putting together a eulogy for you. And I mean that sincerely from me to you. Just be mindful of that. I'm glad you survived that, man. But I know a lot of people that didn't. That's funny. That's funny as hell. Mark, that's funny as hell. Let's see. All right, let's see here. Eric the Great. All right, has no conscience. Did not pass your stone at. Wow. I smoke dabs, but can't afford a banger. I got the to collect it. Wow. Y'all all over the place. But glad that we were all able to come out and have this discussion. Um, it is now my appointed time to go out and do 2 miles. I went out and did a half mile earlier, and it was ice cold, ice cold. And I thought about it, did a few things, and now I'm gonna go out and do that and give up that mile and a half that has to be done. But it was great having you come out. Peace to all the trolls. Peace to all the wild comments. Y'all are a wild bunch. Um, Stay tuned. Smash the like button. Come on back. Let's build this thing. Shout to all the people that are good creators, that are creating good content. Shout to all the people that are invested in themselves. Improve it every day by getting up and doing something positive. Because if you weren't doing something positive, you'd be in jail, and you'd probably, strangely, sadly, still have a cell phone. But I think you all get the point. Certainly, the intelligence on this live um, rivals that of any group in any collective anywhere. So I salute all of you. I thank you all for spending some time with me. Um, just be reflective. Take care of your own. Take care of yourselves. And together we're going to continue to do our thing. All right? Be blessed.